Hi everyone! Welcome to a space where ancient wisdom meets the practical necessity of your modern life. Today, we are opening one of the most powerful books ever written, the Kybalion. We are going to explore the art of mental alchemy, the secret of the Hermetic masters to change the very substance of reality. If you are currently feeling the heavy weight of debt, or if you feel like you are trapped in a cycle of scarcity, you need to understand that you are not fighting against numbers on a screen or paper in a bank. You are dealing with a mental state of lead. And according to the first Hermetic Principle, lead can be transmuted into gold. In my own journey, there was a time when I felt completely paralyzed by financial uncertainty. During my career transition, I looked at my mounting responsibilities and saw them as solid, immovable walls. I was treating my problems as physical facts, but when I integrated the principle that the all is mind, the universe is mental, my perception changed forever. I realized that the debt I was carrying was a vibration of contraction in my own mind. By changing the density of my thoughts through mental alchemy, I watched the physical world reorganize itself to match my new mental state. I stopped being a victim of the economy and became the alchemist of my own reality. In this video, we are going to learn how to use the principles of vibration and polarity to shift the cursor of your life from lack to abundance. This is the golden key that has been hidden in plain sight for centuries. If you are ready to stop struggling and start transmuting, I want you to write our pact in the comments. All is mind. I'm Caroline, and I'm here to guide you through the source code of Hermetic power. Subscribe to our channel to join this circle of sovereign initiates. And remember that the links to the books and the free PDF materials are waiting for you in the description below. Are you ready to change the lead of your life into gold? Let's begin with the first secret of the masters. The Hermetic secret. The universe is mental. Let's sit down and really talk about where your reality is actually being manufactured. If we're going to transmute any lead in your life, we have to go back to the very first principle of the Kybalion. The all is mind. The universe is mental. Now, I know that sounds like some high-level philosophy you'd hear in a dusty library, but let me break it down the way I had to understand it when I was in the middle of my own career transition. I was staring at bills, feeling that heavy pressure in my chest, and honestly, I was terrified. I thought my problem was out there, in the bank, in the economy, in my clients, but the Hermetic masters would look at me and say, "No, Caroline, you're looking at the shadow, not the source." The big aha moment for me was realizing that money, debt, success, and scarcity are not physical things. They are thought forms. If the universe is mental, it means that everything we see in this physical world is just a projection, a 3D printout of the software running in our minds. When I integrated my own shadow of scarcity, I discovered I wasn't fighting against a banking system. I was fighting against a mental architecture I had built over years of fear. The lead of my debt was just the density of my own contracted thoughts materializing in my bank account. Think about the word credit. It comes from the Latin creder, which means to believe. The entire global financial system is literally built on belief. It's a mental construct. If everyone stopped believing in those numbers tomorrow, the system would vanish. So why do we give these numbers so much power over our sleep and our health? In mental alchemy, we learn that mind is the primary substance. Everything you see, the chair you're sitting on, the phone in your hand, and yes, the balance in your bank account, was a thought before it was a thing. If you want to change the thing, you have to go back to the thought. During my transition, I had to stop being a victim of the invoice and start being the coder of my mental field. I realized my mind was vibrating on a loop of I owe, I don't have enough, and what if it fails? Because the universe is a perfect mental mirror, it simply reflected back more situations to confirm those fears. I was stuck in a loop. To change the metal, I had to change the mind. I had to realize that I was carrying around a mental lead that was making my whole life feel heavy. Most people make the mistake of trying to do more to get more money without changing their mental state first. That's like trying to change your reflection in a mirror without moving your face. It's exhausting and it never works. Alchemy tells us to work on the cause, and the cause is always mental. I had to sit down and treat my thoughts like computer files. I found viruses of lack that I'd inherited from my family and society. I had to manually delete those files and start printing a new mental reality. I started seeing money not as something I chase outside of me, but as an energy I radiate from within. If the universe is mental, then wealth is a mental disposition. The moment I shifted my perception from I am broke to I am in a process of transmutation, the actual weight of my debt started to lift. The numbers didn't change on day one, but the density changed. It felt lighter. And in Hermetic physics, anything that is light moves faster. I stopped being the marble pusher struggling with solid problems and became the wave master, directing my mental focus. This is the first key I want to hand you today. Stop looking at your bank statement as the ultimate truth. It's just a screenshot of your mental state from yesterday. If you want a different screenshot tomorrow, you have to change what's running on your screen right now. You are not a victim of the solid world. You are the inhabitant of a universe of pure thought. Since the creator of everything is mind, and you are a spark of that creator, you have the sovereign right to govern your own mental kingdom. We often give our power away to what we call external circumstances. But if the universe is mental, nothing is truly external. Everything is within you. Those debts that look like mountains, they are just heavy clouds of thought that you can disperse with the heat of your own consciousness. It sounds too simple, right? But the truth is usually simple. We just like to make it complicated so we have an excuse to stay in our comfort zone. Transmutation starts the second you accept that matter is fluid and moldable. The chumbo, the lead of your financial life, is only lead because you are looking at it with lead eyes. The moment you put on your alchemist's gaze, you start seeing the golden possibilities hidden inside every challenge. That was my way out of stagnation. I stopped fighting the paper and started commanding my mind. I had to be disciplined. I had to refuse to believe in the solidity of the lack. I had to stay loyal to the mental gold, even when my pockets felt like they were full of lead. When you understand that all is mind, you realize that you are never truly stuck. You are just in a mental loop. And the beauty of a mental loop is that you are the one holding the remote. You can change the channel. You can rewrite the script. You can transmute the very substance of your life by changing the frequency of your thoughts. This is the ultimate power of the sovereign initiate. We don't pray for the world to change, we change our mind, and the world has no choice but to follow. The principle of vibration and polarity, the financial scale. Now, let's get into the technical heart of the Kybalion and how it practically changes your bank account. The second and third principles we need to master are vibration and polarity. The Kybalion tells us nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates, and more importantly, everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. When you apply this to your money, everything changes. You realize that debt and wealth are not two different things. They are just two poles of the same thing. They are the same energy, just vibrating at different degrees. Think about a thermometer. You have cold at one end and heat at the other. But where does cold end and heat begin? There is no wall between them. They are just degrees of temperature. In mental alchemy, we treat poverty and prosperity exactly the same way. Scarcity is just frozen wealth, and abundance is fluid wealth. During my transition, I used to think I had to destroy my debt and create wealth from scratch. That was my mistake. You don't destroy lead to make gold. You transmute it. You take the dense, heavy, contracted energy of debt and you start to heat it up with your mental vibration until it shifts its polarity. The lead of debt vibrates very slowly. It feels like fear, guilt, and a heavy weight on your shoulders. It makes you feel small and contracted. The gold of abundance vibrates very fast. It feels like freedom, expansion, and gratitude. Most people try to jump from one end of the scale to the other in 1 second, and because they can't feel rich while looking at a pile of bills, they give up. But an alchemist doesn't jump, they slide. They move the mental cursor 1 degree at a time. You don't have to go from broke to millionaire today. You just have to move from terrified to neutral, and then from neutral to hopeful, and then to certain. I want to stop here because this is where the magic happens. Look at your financial situation right now, the one that makes you lose sleep. Instead of seeing it as a monster, see it as a scale. If you are ready to stop fighting the lead and start sliding your cursor toward the gold, type transmuting now in the comments. Let's start moving that scale together. In my journey, when I was facing those walls of uncertainty, I started practicing polarity sliding. Every time I felt the cold of fear about money, I didn't try to lie to myself and say I was a billionaire. I simply asked, what is the higher vibration of this fear? The higher vibration was responsibility. Then the higher vibration of responsibility was power. Then the higher vibration of power was abundance. I was sliding my mind along the same wire. I wasn't fighting the fear, I was just turning up the heat on it. The Kybalion explains that mental transmutation is the art of changing the mode of your vibration. If you stay focused on the debt, you are measuring the cold, and you will stay frozen. But if you focus on the potential of that energy, you are starting the fire. Debt is actually a powerful energy. It's just misaligned. It represents a flow that has been blocked or mismanaged. As an alchemist, you don't judge the block. You vibrate through it. You start to feel the gold that is already hidden inside the lead. You realize that the same mental substance that created the debt is the one that will create the wealth. This is a very deep technical point. The field doesn't see good or bad, it only sees frequency. If you are vibrating at the frequency of I owe, the matrix faithfully delivers more owing. But if you use your mental will to polarize your mind toward I provide and I flow, the physical world has to respond. It's a law. Matter is just slow vibration. When you speed up your mental vibration, the matter of your life has no choice but to follow. I saw my financial life melt and reorganize itself the moment I stopped treating my bills as enemies and started treating them as dense energy that I was currently transmuting into light. To reach the depth we need here, we have to talk about mental focus. The masters say that direction is everything. If you point your mind at the negative pole, you become magnetized to it. During my transition, I had to become a vibrational sniper. I refused to let my mind linger on the cold pole for more than a few seconds. I was constantly pulling my cursor back toward the gold. I was constantly asking, where is the expansion here? How can I vibrate faster right now? This is not just thinking positive, it is a technical operation of the mind. You are using your will as a tool to change your own magnetic polarity. As you begin to master the scale of polarity, you realize that you are the master of the thermostat. You stop asking the world to change its temperature, and you start setting the temperature yourself. When your internal financial temperature is set to gold, the external lead of your life will eventually reach its melting point and transform. In the next block, we are going to look at how to handle the principle of rhythm, that swing of the pendulum that tries to pull you back into the cold, and how I used the law of neutralization to stay in the gold even when the world was shaking. Mental transmutation in practice. The law of neutralization. Now that we understand that the universe is mental and that everything sits on a scale of polarity, we have to talk about the precise application. How do you actually stay in the gold when the world is screaming lead at you? This is where the principle of rhythm comes in, and more importantly, the alchemist's secret weapon, the law of neutralization. The Kybalion tells us that everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. In your financial life, this is the swing between hope and fear, between a good month and a slow month. During my career transition, I felt this pendulum swinging violently. One day I would feel like a sovereign creator, and the next, a single rejected email or an unexpected bill would swing me right back into a state of panic. I realized that if I let the pendulum carry me, I would always be a slave to the rhythm of the matrix. I had to learn to rise above it. The masters don't try to stop the pendulum, they neutralize it. They refuse to let their consciousness be dragged into the negative swing. This is the technical process of mental transmutation. You see, most people try to fight the negative swing. When the fear of debt hits, they try to push it away. But in alchemy, whatever you resist, you feed with energy. Instead of fighting the swing, you must rise to the higher plane. You must move your consciousness to a level where the swing of the pendulum no longer touches you. I call this the observer's balcony. When I saw the fear coming, I wouldn't say, I am afraid. I would say, I see the vibration of fear trying to take hold. By observing it, I was no longer it. I was the one watching it. To reach the necessary depth here, we have to understand that the mental cursor we talked about in the scale of polarity needs a locking mechanism. That lock is your mental will. When you are transmuting a financial problem, you are essentially changing the temperature of your mind. If you want to melt the lead of your debt, you have to keep the heat constant. If you let the pendulum swing you back into cold fear every 10 minutes, the metal will never melt. You'll just be left with a lukewarm mess. I had to become incredibly disciplined with my focus. I had to learn to look at a 0 in my account and say, this is a temporary degree on the scale. My mind is already set to gold. Subscribing to this channel isn't just about getting notifications. It's about anchoring yourself in this sovereign frequency. When you join our community, you are telling the matrix that you are no longer a victim of the pendulum. You are helping us build a collective field of mental gold that supports every single person who watches these videos. If you are ready to master your own rhythm and help the channel reach more seekers, hit that subscribe button now. The law of neutralization is what allowed me to survive the gap of manifestation. In the middle of my transition, there were moments when the physical evidence said I was failing. The old version of myself would have collapsed, but the alchemist in me knew that the pendulum was just doing its job. I learned to use ego neutralization. I realized that the part of me that was afraid was just an old program, a lower self that was addicted to the rhythm of struggle. I began to treat that fear as static on a radio. I didn't get mad at the static, I just retuned the dial. In practice, this means when you are faced with a financial lead situation, you don't look for a way out, you look for a way up. You ask yourself, what is the higher vibration of this specific problem? If the problem is, I can't pay this, the higher vibration is, the universe is an infinite source of provision. You don't try to solve the problem at the same level of the problem. You transmute it by identifying with the all-mind that has no lack. You must become vibrationally unavailable for the struggle. The Kybalion teaches that mental transmutation is a mental art. It is the art of changing the mode of your vibration. Think of it like a musician. If you play a discordant note, you don't try to kill the note. You simply play the correct one so loudly that the discord is resolved. During my darkest hours of uncertainty, I would play the note of sovereignty in my mind. I would repeat to myself, I am the mind that creates this reality. I am not the effect, I am the cause. I was literally vibrating the lead of my anxiety until it turned into the gold of certainty. This is the master stroke, the moment you realize that the pendulum only swings you if you are attached to the surface plane of reality. If you move your focus to the causal plane, the realm of the mind, you are the one holding the pendulum. You become the fixed point. This is how I transmuted my own reality. I stopped being the effect of the economy and started being the cause of my own abundance. I stopped measuring the lack and started witnessing the wealth that was already a mental fact. As we move toward the final protocol, I want you to start practicing this rise. Every time you feel a negative emotion about your finances, don't judge it. Just recognize the swing. Then use your will to lift yourself to the higher plane. Remind yourself that the universe is mental, and in that mind, you are already gold. You are already ASAP, already done. You are just waiting for the slower physical vibration of the 3D world to match your high-speed mental frequency. In the final block, we will explore the Alchemist's Protocol, the specific daily steps to become living gold. We will close this journey with the checkmate of the Kybalion, ensuring that you never again feel like a slave to the lead of this world. The Alchemist's Protocol, becoming the living gold. We have reached the final stage of your mental laboratory. You now hold the keys to the universe of mind, the principle of vibration, and the law of neutralization. But knowledge without application is like lead that never meets the fire. It stays heavy and cold. To truly transmute your financial reality, you must become the living gold. This is the Alchemist's Protocol, the daily practice of maintaining your sovereign frequency until the physical world has no choice but to reflect your internal wealth. During my own transition, I realized that I couldn't just think like an alchemist for 5 minutes. I had to be an alchemist in every breath. The first step in this protocol is the sanctity of the mental image. The Kybalion teaches that the all is mind. Therefore, the image you hold of your financial life is the blueprint the matrix is currently following. If you want to change the building, you must change the blueprint. Every morning before you even open your eyes, you must establish the golden frequency. You don't ask for money, you affirm your identity as the source. You feel the fluidity of abundance. You tell yourselves and the divine matrix, I am the mind that governs this vibration. My reality is gold. I started doing this when I was still in my lead phase, and this internal certainty was the anchor that eventually pulled the external reality into alignment. The second step is vibrational vigilance. Throughout your day, the lead of the world will try to pull you back. You will hear bad news. You will see bills. You will talk to people stuck in scarcity. An alchemist doesn't run away from these things. She transmutes them. When you see a number that you don't like, you don't label it as debt. You label it as energy in transition. You use your mental will to move the cursor back to the right. You refuse to give your emotional fuel to the negative pole. In my journey, this was the hardest part, staying loyal to the gold when my 5 senses were screaming lead. But the law is absolute. If you stay in the vibration of the result, a soup, the field must yield. The final step is the gratitude transmuter. Gratitude is the highest heat in mental alchemy. It speeds up the vibration of any situation instantly. When you pay a bill, even if it feels heavy, you do it with a vibration of flow. You thank the matrix for the ability to participate in the exchange of energy. By doing this, you are telling the field that you are a source and not a drain. This is how the pendulum of rhythm is neutralized. You stay in a state of constant expansion, regardless of the tides. You become the fixed point in a world of shifting shadows. Remember, you are the philosopher's stone. You are the one who turns the base experiences of life into the gold of wisdom and prosperity. You are no longer a victim of the solid world because you know the world isn't solid, it's mental. You are the sovereign initiate of your own life. Walk through this world with the gaze of the alchemist, and you will watch the leaden problems of your past dissolve into the golden opportunities of your future. I want to thank you for staying with us until the very end of this video. Sharing these hermetic secrets with you is a true honor, and I am deeply grateful for your presence in this community. It takes a courageous mind to step away from the lead of common thinking and embrace the gold of sovereign wisdom. I am so glad we are on this path together. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Your support is what allows us to keep digging deep into these ancient codes and bringing them to life. By joining us, you are affirming your commitment to your own mental transmutation and helping this channel grow so we can reach more alchemists around the world. I have left all the links to the Kybalion and other essential books, as well as the free PDF materials in the description below. Use them as tools in your daily laboratory. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in our next video.